Hi, everyone. This is Janelle of Hustling Hotties and the host of the Big Dreamers series. I am here with Bethany Peak. And Bethany, how are you today?
I'm doing good. It's hot where I am, but I'm keeping cool.
Yeah, I think it's a heat wave around the United States right now. It's so hot.
Yeah.
So tell me, Bethany, tell me about your business. What do you do?
So my business is Taupe Coat. We are a boutique nail polish brand that creates clean green nail polish. So that means none of our nail polish has any the most common carcinogens that are found in polish usually, like formaldehyde or camphor or toluene or different products like that. It's also paraben free and vegan, and all of the polish is made by me, so I know exactly what's going into it, and I make every bottle with love here at my warehouse.
Wait, wait. You hand make every bottle of polish?
I do. And when I started out, it was easier because it's like, oh, a couple bottles of polish. But now I'm getting larger orders. Like this weekend, I have an order for 115 bottles. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to take you so long to fill these.
It's time to scale.
I know.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, congratulations. That's
Thanks.
amazing.
Yeah. And this is because I have a day job also. So this is what I do like after work and on the weekends. And so I actually prefer doing this to anything else.
So when are we making the side hustle a full-time gig?
Hopefully sooner rather than later. I want to scale down because I practice law and I don't want to stop doing that because I really enjoy it. And there are a lot of communities that could really use lawyers. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, so I want to move that down to like part-time, but I do want to transition and focus more time on my businesses, definitely.
Definitely. So what strategies, you're growing exponentially. So what strategies have you used to grow the business like this?
Yeah, so one of my main things that I do is I really have to prioritize my time because I'm so busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I have a whole system that I have set up for what I do because what I do is I wake up like 2 hours before work every day, and I work on my business. Then when I come home, I work on it in the evenings, and then weekends. That's all day dedicated to the business. But I've gotten really good at just like prioritizing like what kinds of things can be done in what time frames, right? Because in the morning I don't have time to schedule a project that's going to take me 3 hours because I don't have 3 hours. So mornings is when I spend either just responding to emails, or if I just gotta like respond to comments on Instagram or whatever small task, that's when I do that. And then I save the weekends and like vacations for like really long projects where I know, all right, I need to sit down for like 4 or 5 hours and take care of this.
Gotcha, gotcha. So prioritizing your time and making sure that you have everything scheduled. So I'm sure you have an amazing calendaring system.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know if you can see this. I'm gonna flip it. Like that's my calendar. So like the next
Oh,
thing.
yes, I do.
Yes, you already know.
I'm just getting into the calendaring because I have a baby and it's like I've got to schedule his play dates in plus
Mhm.
these types of calls and things. So it's like calendaring is so important in your business. Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I'd love to hear about an outrageous goal that you have that you've accomplished already since you started
Okay.
your business.
Let me see. Since I started my business, I would have to say I really wanted to start doing like wholesale orders because when I first
Mhm,
started up, I was mainly selling. I would go either to LA or to Oakland and sell like little like farmers markets and things like that.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I really wanted to break into the wholesale scene. And so my plan was to do it. I don't know, like after a year or so after I started. But I swear within like a month of me getting started, I met somebody out at one of these markets and he's like, oh, hey, I'm doing this event. I really like your polish. I'd love for you to, provide me some polish for my show. So I'm like, cool. And he's like, yeah, I need 250 bottles. It's like, so I only had 1,000 bottles in my possession because I had just started my business and that's all I had. And so the turnaround was really quick, but I knew that it was going to be a good like exposure opportunity. I was going to make a good contact with him because he does other events in the future. Um, and so I had only had like a week to get this all done, and I had to get boxes and make the polish. And so I used my prioritizing like system. I had to figure out like what's the stuff that needs to get done first, right? It was ordering the things that I couldn't make myself, which was getting the boxes and the stuffing paper. So I did all that stuff first. Then I started an assembly line, and I called my mom and my grandparents. And my mom was joking. I was using her as indentured servitude labor because like I just had everybody in my kitchen, and we were just out there. Like I was making the polish, and I'm like, my grandpa, you bottle this color. Grandma, you bottle this one. Mommy, you're gonna do the labeling and the stuffing of the boxes. And like the whole house was just covered. But the only way that I was able to keep all that organized was that I have a really like intricate to-do list, which I prioritize everything on it. So it's the stuff that time sensitive, I can't do. I need to ship out to somebody else that can come back to me first. Then small stuff that I can train someone else to do easily, like the filling of the bottles, because you just have to squeeze that into the smaller bottles. That's the stuff I give out to other people. And then I'm kind of like moving, like filling in where it needs to get filled and keeping people on track. But that was like wild because when I told someone, they were like, you just got started. Like, have you ever even made like 50 bottles at a time? And I was like, no. But we made it. I'm one of those people where my personality is, I will say yes, and then I'll figure out how to get it done after I say yes, because I know I can do it. I just have to sit down and figure it out. So I frequently find myself in these circumstances where I'm like, cool, I can do that. And then after I say yes, I'm like, all right, now I got to figure out the plan of exactly how to execute it.
You ever feel like, what did I just take on?
Yes, all the time.
So that was going to transition me to my next question. So who has helped you get as far as you got? And I know you had mom and dad and everybody in this assembly line, but who do you feel like one person, like if they weren't there, I would have never made it this far?
You know, so this woman, her name is Monique. She's not so much like helped me where I've gotten, but she changed my whole mind frame when I met her. So when I was in college, I was working for this nonprofit that goes out to high schools that are primarily minority students and helps make sure they meet the California high school requirements to go to college. Mm-hmm. And so she was my supervisor, and she was like, I don't know how old she was at the time, like 40 or 45. And she had such a beautiful spirit about her. And she would always tell me like, oh yeah, you know, like I had my daughter when I was young and I really wanted to travel. So I would take her with me to Ecuador, and like, oh, we went to this place, we went to that. And like, she lived her life exactly how she wanted. And she was the first woman I had ever really met that was doing that. Like, it was when I met her, I was like, you mean I could just decide what I want to do and do that? And I don't have to like subscribe to the rules that like my parents have for me or that like other people in my life have for me. I can just do what I want. And like that really, it's so basic, but she really just changed my whole life, because that was the first time I realized like I can do what I want to do. And the only person that gets to like define how my life goes and what I do is me. And if I want to change up my plans in 5 years or 10 years, I can do that because it's my life and I'm the one in control of it. And so her name is Monique Jimenez. She was just like such a great mentor to me through all the years that I've known her, and just a beautiful person generally.
Wait, I feel like I know her.
Really?
Does she have 3 little boys now, or 2 little boys?
She had, well, they're probably older now. She does have 2 boys and a daughter.
No, maybe not.
Okay,
maybe it's
we might
another lady named Monique. Maybe it's the name, because she's all over.
See, oh, Monique.
Definitely. So my next question, speaking about high school, if you could tell your 15-year-old self anything, what would it be? What advice would you give your 15-year-old self?
I'd probably tell 15-year-old me that I should say yes to things that are going to make me happy more. Because I think that a lot of times, and I mean, this was the issue I had well into my 20s, was that I prioritized what other people needed and kind of put my own needs and desires on the back burner. And like in retrospect, looking back, if I had just went for all the things that I wanted when I wanted them, regardless of what category they fell in, education, personal, whatever, I probably would have gotten further than I am right now. And I think that that's something a lot of time, like as women, like we're always so focused on, you know, making sure everybody else is taken care of, or making sure that the choices we make are not going to negatively impact the people in our lives, which is all good to be concerned about. But there has to come a point where you have to be like, look, I need to do what's making me happy, because once I'm happy, then I can fully give myself to everybody else. If you're miserable, you can't give anything to anyone. And so I think I tell myself, like, do not forget, you come first. You need to prioritize yourself. If you keep yourself happy, everything else is going to fall in order. Like, don't feel selfish about it.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And it's so true. You're 100% right. Yeah. That's wonderful. So you're smashing goals now. What's a big goal that you have for your business? right now that you would like to get accomplished that you haven't accomplished yet?
Yeah. So right now, my goal is I want to get a separate warehouse facility because I need new warehousing space for making my nail polish as we grow. And then I also have like a warehousing component of my business where I warehouse some goods for other small businesses. And that business really can take off and grow bigger, but I need more space. So one of my goals is I'm working on Taupe Coat, you know, to increase sales and bring in more revenue so that I can expand out, get a larger space. And I'm starting to have to hire people to help me out because things are just, you're talking about scaling. I'm trying my hardest. So I've brought on one person.
That's what I was going to ask you. I'm like, do you have anybody helping you at this point?
I do, yeah. So I've hired someone. They work part-time right now. And they run most of the warehouse and they do all my shipping of my orders during the day. But my goal is I want to get this warehouse and then I want to hire like women that have been, you know, formerly incarcerated, because I feel like that's one segment of society that a lot of times we forget about. You know, we love locking people up, and then when they get out, we're just like, oh, go figure things out on your own. And one of the most detrimental collateral consequences of incarceration is that people can't get jobs because if someone finds out you've been in prison or jail or whatever, they don't want to hire you. So I really want to do what part I can do to kind of combat some of that negative impact for people. So that's my goal. I want to get my warehouse facility up and then I want to use it as an avenue to employ women that really need the work.
That's wonderful. Yeah, jail reform is, oh, it's a whole nother conversation.
Yes, for sure.
I love that. So if you had one nugget you could share with a budding entrepreneur or a entrepreneur just not at your level yet, what would you share with that person?
Okay, I would share with them to don't question your own abilities. So I said I practice law during the day, right? And so the people that tend to practice law come from whole different communities that like where I come from. And everyone has just, it's amazing how much confidence some people have in themselves and they have nothing to back it up for it. Like there's no justification. They're just like, oh no, I'm the greatest person. I'm the greatest lawyer alive. I'm the greatest person you've ever met in your life. And I'm like, you've actually done nothing and you're just a mediocre attorney, but you can't tell them that. And then I watch people that I know in real life, like my brothers and like my friends, and we're all like, we have all these degrees, maybe even more than some of the people I work with. And we're just like, oh, I don't really know if I'm qualified. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I know enough for that. And if we could get rid of that, if we could just stop questioning ourselves and thinking that we're not qualified and we're mediocre, like we can do so much more. And so, I mean, this is advice I give to myself. I share with my family all the time. Like we have to stop questioning ourselves. Like if you want to do something, then just start to do it because you're probably more qualified than people that you think are at higher levels than you are.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I believe in faking it till you make it. I mean,
yes, definitely that.
Yeah, I just create stuff and I'm like, yep, I can do it.
Yep, definitely.
What is your must-read book, Bethany? What do you suggest people they have? This is the life-changing book that everybody has to read. What's yours?
Okay, so my book is called The Miracle Morning. And it's by this guy called Hal.
I just wrote that book down. Somebody was just saying to read that. Yes. Okay. Yes. The Miracle Morning. Who is it by again?
Hal Elrod, Hal, and then his last name is like Elrod, like dog. I was listening to a podcast about like improving your finances, and he happened to be on it one day, and so I checked it out and bought his book. I've never been a morning person in my life, and so when I read it, I was like, well, we'll just see what it's about because people said it was really good. And honestly, it's one book that I can say has genuinely changed my life. Like the whole book is about how your morning sets the scene for the rest of your whole day. So if you have a morning system and you get your mornings down, then pretty much everything else in the day is going to flow from that. And ever since I started, so he has this whole system, it's called the Miracle Morning. And there's like 7 different points of things you should do in the morning. They have a long one for people that have like an hour or 2 before work. And then he also has a shorter version. So if you're like, I don't have 2 hours to be exercising, meditating, reading, journaling, and all that, he has a 30-minute version, which is what I started with. And now I've kind of done the longer one. But ever since I've done that, like it really has changed. Like I started doing this before I started my business, and I really credit it with giving me the drive to actually get things off the ground. Because now in the morning, like when I'm done working on Taupe Coat and I go into the office, I'm just in a whole nother space, because I feel like, all right, I've figured out what I want to do for the day. Like I've taken care of myself. I've given myself some time. I've jogged a little, or even just did jumping jacks in my bedroom for 5 minutes just to get my heart pumping. Like I had some water. Like it's just a really good book. And he has a really great story. He had a near-death incident. He had a head-on collision. So it's a really great story from his aspect, but also just the lessons that he teaches you are really awesome in it.
I'm gonna have to read that one, definitely.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
sounds great. And just when you said you did 2 hours in the morning on your business before you went to work, I'm like, oh, good Lord.
Exactly. Yeah, I credited to the book, because before I would be like waking up 7 minutes before I had to be in the car. Like I got to get dressed and eat and do everything in 7 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd love to know your favorite quote, something that inspires you, motivates you. What is your favorite quote?
So my favorite quote is by Maya Angelou, and
Mhm.
it's "Nothing will work unless you do." I heard this quote maybe like 5 years ago, and it really just hit home for me. And it's my life mantra. Like I have it on my background on my computer. Like I put it up on my wall behind my door, because when you think about it, it's just so true. Like no matter what you're trying to do, if you're not actually putting in the work for it, it's not going to work. And a lot of times people, especially with entrepreneurs, sometimes we go out and try things and it's not really working. But then sometimes you have to step back and like, am I really putting in the work to make this work? Because if you're
Right.
not, then it's going to fail. And it's not that the business was bad. It's just that you weren't investing the effort that you should. So I apply that to everything, like my workout regime, especially my workout regime, because I'll like work out real good sometimes, then like I fall off the wagon, then I get back on and I fall off. And then I'm like, why am I not seeing the results I want to see? So I'm having to constantly remind myself, if you're not putting in this work, Dr. Maya Angelou told you, if you're not putting in this work, you're not going to get the results.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's beautiful. I haven't heard that one. I love her quotes, but yes, that's great. That makes complete sense.
It does,
Definitely.
doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it does. So, Bethany, I would love for my viewers to connect with you. So, how do they participate in your movement? How can they connect with you? Buy maybe some nail polish, because I'm interested now in trying out your handmade nail polish.
Oh, definitely. You have to try it out. We're coming out with new shades in the summertime too. But our website is www.taupecoat, and taupe is spelled like the color taupe. So it's TAUPECOAT.com. We're on all the social medias at Taupe Coat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. My personal Instagram is Bethany Jennene. And I'm pretty active on Instagram, like in Taupe Coat like that. But yeah, we have a lot of great colors that are out now. We're also moving on, and I'm working on some non-nail polish beauty products that I'm really excited about. I have here at my house, because of where I live in an area that has a lot of agriculture. So I have this house and I have 6 citrus trees and rose bushes. And so I started making my own rose water, which has been really fun. And then I'm trying to be a fake chemist right now, but I'm working on making my own essential oils using my grapefruits and my lemons and my oranges. So that should be coming out soon.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited about all that, because that's something totally new for me. I've never done any of that. But I'm really looking forward to it. So people should keep their eyes out, because that stuff is going to be rolling out later this year.
I'm still not seeing where you're finding all this time. Do you have 24 hours in your day? I'm not. I feel lazy with all that you're telling me that you're doing.
No. This is why I have those occasional weekends where I'm just like, okay, I'm crashing for the weekend. Nobody talks to me. I'll be in my bedroom binge watching Netflix.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers?
No, I'm really excited to be able to talk to everyone. I love your organization. Thank you so much for inviting me to come to speak to the ladies. And I'm such a huge believer in women supporting women, because we have to create community amongst ourselves and support each other. And that's the only way that we're really going to be able to achieve the goals that we all have. So thanks for having me.
Oh, well, I appreciate you even coming and speaking with me, Bethany. This has been phenomenal. Thank you, and have a great day. Good night.
Thanks. You too. Good night.